Hi, welcome to this month's CCI video update, highlighting all the great work that schools and school districts around Indiana who received a Comprehensive Counseling Initiative grant from the Lilly Endowment are doing. Today, our guests are Shannon Mount with Scott County District Number 2 and Cindy Watts with Scott County District Number 1. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Great to have you. So I thought we'd just start off by asking if you mind, Cindy, talking a little bit about the comprehensive counseling model or framework that your district, and of course you guys are working as a collaborative, that you came together to choose, and how that implementation's going.
Us working together has been just wonderful, and it's been a very easy road for us to kind of start the collaboration on with working with Shannon. It's something that we did informally in the beginning, just our natural relationship. And then it's something that once this grant started, that we were able to just kind of start our framework and working with the community on some of the projects, and their buy-in to supporting both of the districts have been wonderful. So we started in some trauma-informed things, and we have a great sponsorship with our community partners. So that's been good for us too.
Great. Shannon, talk a little bit about District 2 and how it's going as far as the collaborative efforts and the counseling framework that you guys have in place.
Yeah, like Cindy said, we were doing some things, and I would call them spotty, but just to back it up a tiny bit, like if you've not looked up Scott County on the map, we're a tiny county and we have 2 complete school districts. And we love our friendly rivalry here in Scott County. But like Cindy alluded to, we've always had a relationship, and counselors reach out to counselors when we need help. So we really just formalized that in this grant. And we did go, like with our technical assistance partner, we went with Guiding All Kids. And it was a 4-year process with ASAI. Which is now Inspire Success. And so it was a 4-year model from the very beginning. And I personally think that we benefited from that kind of like that 4-year commitment for that technical assistance. And I learned, Cindy and I living in a small rural community, we have kind of benefited from grants, several times throughout our professional career. But I really liked that this one in particular had a 4-year framework for technical assistance. It kind of kept us accountable to each other and to the process. I really did appreciate that. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in the 4 years. And I think we call it cross collaboration sharing. So like when I'm learning something and she's learning something, her district's learning something, we share. So we get together to share every month. And this is just a funny story. So, student management systems, Cindy's district switched student management systems in the middle of this 4-year project, and it just happened to be ours. So talk about cross collaboration sharing. We were able to share some tips in there, and we all know that how much those student management systems can make us pull our hair out, but we were able to, even at the very basic level, share information and tips.
Yeah. Well, and that sounds like that's a real change for both school districts, maybe to how things worked in the past. Would you say that's true, Cindy?
I would say that's true because there's such a large number of us now that are together. Our system is smaller, and so we have 4 counselors. So it's just, us being able to collaborate or ask a specific question about, a program that we're working on, or tips and tricks like Shannon was sharing this morning, just things for us that will save us some of the, the heartache that you have when you switch to a new system. So there's just been so many benefits from it. And this just is a tiny example of one for us, but I mean, they really have been well. We have the, number that we call for the services, but, sometimes, as we all know, kind of just doing it and figuring out how your system works, you can share that with others. So it's, a lot easier for us to call 5 minutes down the road and just say, hey, have you ever had this happen? How did that work? And like, we're already benefiting from that. So it's been a crazy time to switch. systems, but it was necessary. So thankfully, it was one that Scott too was using. So they've been able to help all of us through that. So that's been
Right.
a nice, yeah.
So, Shannon, start with you. Are there any particular strategies or activities, with the grant work that you've been doing that you would say you and the counselors, well, in the school and too, are really, really excited about or have really been pleased with?
I don't know that it has a specific title, but one of the activities and strategies that was really grounded in data is we wanted to increase our 21st century scholars. We were doing a pretty good job of getting the word out, but like closing that loop and actually getting them to fill out the application and complete and be eligible for that scholarship in college. We have a pretty high percentage of free and reduced students who we knew if they just filled out the application, by their income guidelines would qualify. And so we worked with a community partner, with the Community Foundation. They're one of our major partners. So with the Community Foundation, they had a grant specifically that they chose to use as an intern. So it's an intern that goes between, it's a master's level counseling student that we recruit from a local university program, and they go between districts. So it's kind of like, I said, it's kind of our best kept secret is that, yes, we have these two districts. They're wonderful, friendly rivalries, but little do they know we share an employee, things very specific, and working towards getting kids their 21st century sign up and their activities completed. So it's just one of the ways that we use collaboration to link into a very specific strategy and activity, and we're continuing to increase getting our students signed up for 21st century scholarship and to complete those activities.
Right. Well, and I know that, you guys are getting towards the end of your grant period. And looking back, because there are always challenges with anything of this magnitude. Cindy, I don't know if you might talk a little bit about a particular challenge or even barrier that you ran across, or maybe that your counselors ran across in doing this work, and how you worked through that challenge or barrier.
Okay, so the barrier that I encountered was we were doing trauma trainings for our staff and leaderships, and we were all set to have them in person, and COVID hit right before we were scheduled for them to start. And I'd only had the training in person, and we had some really cool things to do in person, and then it switched to have to do it online. And we needed to go ahead and do that. We wanted to go ahead and do that. So technology itself was a little bit tricky for us to utilize. We had full support though from administration and the superintendent, which I did get a new superintendent and a new principal in the process of the grant. But they've been really supportive in continuing this work. So, I was kind of devastated to make the switch, and with COVID just happening. So they embraced it and allowed us to continue to do it.
Yeah. Well, Shannon, how about you? You and your counselors.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that what the trauma training that Cindy's talking about. I think another thing that makes our particular CCI project unique is that when we entered into this trauma training, we were in the planning phase. We were just thinking about the school districts, but it grew and grew and grew. So we actually brought in information and training that the community embraced. So the training that Cindy's talking about that she brought to her leadership team is the same one that's being rolled out to lots of different community providers. So we're all hearing kind of that same trauma language. We're all being trained in that same format, the same training. And that really is something that if we had talked to you 4 years ago, we never would have seen coming. But it's one of those things that grew out of collaboration. Is now, I think we've trained over 350 people in our small community in this same trauma training. And like Cindy said, COVID threw us for a loop, total loop, because it's a very interactive in-person training. And you can hear that in her voice when she said, I didn't want to do it. It was really tough, but we did it. We continued to train through Zoom, and we continued to get better and better and better at that personal interaction, even though we were on the Zoom platform. So we did it. We busted through it. But I'm just very proud of Cindy and I. We sit on a community leadership team for becoming a trauma-informed community. And so I'm just really proud of our Scott County community that continue to persist getting this word out about becoming trauma-informed with this training. But so our school personnel got the same training delivered either in person or via Zoom. And lots of people in our greater Scott County community have also had the same training.
Yeah. Well, and you touched on about the community organization and partners and being part of that community initiative around being trauma informed. Could you talk a little bit, Shannon, maybe about either a specific community organization or partner that you all are working with, collaborating with, that's kind of a major partner that's working well?
Sure. We have, I would say, kind of when we're talking about the school counseling departments, kind of our big community partners are DCS and probation, because kind of they're our crisis intervention partners. And then we have the Community Foundation, and we have the Scott County Partnership, which is, it's a unique nonprofit here in Scott County, but it's basically the collaboration of business, education, and community partners coming together. Their board is made up of all three of those sectors. So we try to tackle some community problems with the partnership. And so it was with the partnership as a formal partner when we started rolling out this trauma-informed trainings. So they were a formal partner. We entered into some agreements with the Scott County Partnership to make sure these things happen. And then everybody knows in this world, like grants kind of, start coming, and you're like, this grand vision this part can be covered with this thing. And so we collaborated with resources to get it out to as many people as we can. And we're still going with it. It's still definitely something that will continue the momentum past CCI, but CCI, this particular grant, was instrumental in getting this momentum built with the Scott County Partnership.
Yeah. Well, Cindy, along with that, when we kind of touched on sustainability already, but is there an example of, outside of the meetings that we discussed earlier, an action or a change that has happened to help ensure the sustainability of all that you guys have been doing?
Some of the partnerships that we've developed, we've touched several times about that Community Foundation partner. That is something that definitely, I think, that will hopefully continue. She continues to write. And she does the grant writing for us to have that person. She does that. So I think that's something that we've established, how we share that person, and it works well in the time that we're sharing. And I think that that's something that will hopefully continue, and it's much needed. So I hope that continues. And the relationship that we have with the Scott County Partnership, that's outside of this grant as well. It's kind of pulled us in to do some of the things that we need to do, but we can do it unison. And, we share kids back and forth, often transient students. Right. So we were talking about that this morning, just how, having the same programs and, timing of things, hopefully students won't miss out on things. So that partnership that we have with the Scott County Partnership, the things that they provide within our walls, is definitely something that I hope continues. There's been several things that I've been kind of called, brought to the table that I wasn't involved in before, just because of our partnership, honestly. And I hope those things continue. So we've just been able to be more involved. So it's been a good learning experience for me, myself. But we have some dramatic changes that we've done within the school. So, and that's just been from the support of the community. So that's been
great
for us.
And we really did. We were fortunate enough during the planning grant phase. I loved the way that that was rolled out. So the planning grant phase. So Cindy and I and our teams of counselors came together during that planning grant phase. And from the very beginning, we're like, we're not putting anything in here that is only here because we might be blessed with the money from a grant. And so we were very conservative, I guess. I don't know, very cautious. We didn't put anything in there that, yes, we were blessed by this grant, but there's nothing in there that our districts can't continue to focus on, that came out the other side of the 4 years. And yes, some things we learned that, we had a great idea and it didn't exactly pay it out the way we thought to. Those things would go by the wayside and they probably needed to. But the biggies that we just learned, and the ones that still give us cold chills, like, wow, I can't believe we pulled that off. Little community, people working together. I can't believe we got that one off the ground. Those things will survive. And that's what we've always been very mindful, that this CCI grant was an investment in our community. And what can we continue to grow? What can we continue to learn from that investment? So we were very careful about what we put in, and everything we had, we looked at and said, could we continue this? Or, if they don't fund this proposal, can we still do these projects? So we were just very careful with that. And I remember, this is just a story I remember from that very first year. We were with Guiding All Kids. We were with all the schools who had picked Guiding All Kids. And Sue Reynolds made us do all this, good professional development stuff. And, if you have to ask me what came out of all those hours, I just, in my head, goes over and over again. Build your relationships, build your partners, talk to again. If you don't have someone's support, go back. You've not met, they're curious about something, or they still need some more information, continue to build those partnerships, and talking to and investing in those relationships will pay off. And it has paid off for us greatly.
What words of wisdom or advice would you give to schools, especially those that don't have grant funding, hoping to implement that comprehensive counseling program? What would you share if you could share anything with them?
I'd say collaborate. That's been so beneficial for us. Just speaking of our school district, I think we're so much stronger and have learned so much because of collaboration. And that's, but you go into this knowing that you want to learn, you want to improve, you have that desire, and that's something that you can obtain by collaborating and talking to people and searching for things and making yourself better, and understanding that you go into it knowing that you need to improve. And we've been allowed to, so it's been a good blessing.
And I think we established a culture of in our collaboration meetings that, yes, you are allowed to complain about a problem, but you better be part of the solution. So you better be willing. If you open your mouth to complain, you better be willing to communicate and build that relationship and help us figure it out. Because that the collaboration, is an easy word for everybody to kick around or put into a little grant write-up, but to actually collaborate is hard work. It is. So my tip and advice is build those relationships. When you've got nothing, you start building that relationship and communicating, and that will lead to that collaboration that Cindy's talking about.
Great. Well, thank you, Cindy and Shannon, both of you, for joining us. And thanks to everyone who's watching this monthly CCI video update. Thanks so much.